Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah, hit the ground, then it go off. Yeah.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us on Building Greatness, the Warrior Way, a Westcliff University athletics podcast, brought to you in part by our 5 C's. And win. What's important now? As always, I'm joined by our SID, Chase Dodge. How's it going, kid? And I'm Will Smith, your assistant AD of operations, back with the what's what in athletics and culture. Let's check in and get into the game. And we are back. Chase, my guy, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, Will. How about yourself? You enjoying the July 4th just happened? Did you enjoy the 4th of July with out in Vegas? Any fireworks out there?
You know what? I did not go to the fireworks. I did watch the fireworks, but honestly, with as hot as it is out here, it's like, yeah, you're going to stay in the house until just before fireworks go off, and then you go right back in the house. It's 110 degrees. It is not time to be outside. The tourists that come into town, though, seem to want to do it, and they want to drink heavy and stumble through the streets of Las Vegas, at least the Strip area. I don't know how they do it. I would have probably just passed out and landed in some fountain somewhere because it was ridiculously hot. It was really.
I mean, shoot. I go out to the desert with my grandma's place, and we just kind of chill in the backyard watching the fireworks show happening around us. But we don't really go to those fireworks shows just because, like, I mean, I don't want to be around that many people. Like, I'd rather just chill in the backyard, just enjoying family time, you know.
I mean, half the reason why I wasn't here last week is because I was on my what I call vidcation or COVID vacation.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't want to be around. I know it sounds terrible, but I try to avoid really heavily populated areas still. I know that might be a little bit, an alarmist, but I seem to keep getting it, and I'm not really happy with that. So I'm lucky. I live on the outskirts of town and on like a slope of a hill kind of. So
right.
You could go outside, go park in the desert, look, and you can see the whole entire strip basically get lit on fire. It's pretty amazing.
No, I mean, I was just thinking about you had your COVID vacation. Like, I actually had vacation, and
I actually took some time off. That's not like you, sir.
Dude, I know. It's just, I was thinking in my head of just like the last time I took vacation outside of the normal, like, holiday dates and maybe not have any game times or stuff like that. I was just like, man, this is like legit. Like, this is probably maybe first or second time I like requested time off.
So did you do the vacation where you run around and do a bunch of stuff and you end up more tired by the time your vacation's over? Or did you like really settle into a chill mode? I
think it was more of so like for vacation, I went out to Georgia to see some of my my aunt and uncles and my cousins out there. They were just like, they've been talking to me like all like winter and spring. They're like, hey, you want to come out? And I was like, you know what? I'm an adult. I'll purchase my ticket. I'll go visit y'all. And so, yeah. And we were doing stuff every day. Like, I got to see my cousin where he's a firefighter. So I got to see him in his element, which was pretty sick. Got to spend some good quality time with the family. But yeah, we were doing stuff. And trust me, when I got back to California and I had that like time zone change, I was like, oh, I need to take a nap. Like I'm like exhausted, man. I don't know.
Was it humid as hell or what?
Yeah, it was humid, but it was interesting because, I mean, dude, they were talking about like the weather, like, oh, dude, you have no idea. Like, you're so like spoiled with that SoCal weather. And then I went over there and I'm just like super fine while they're just like, they're sweating. They're like, Chase, you're not sweating with all this humidity. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, it's the weather. I'm not going to be complaining about it or nothing. Like, it is what it is. Like, yeah, sure, it's humid, but I don't know why. It seems like you guys complain about the weather more than some out of towner,
I mean, it's a definite difference. Obviously,
it is. Trust me. But
it's in the South not that long ago. You was in Georgia and Florida. I was also in Florida, and it's just, man, it is kind of spoiling. Even we're living in the desert. We have 105 degrees. I promise you, walking around for a few hours at any of those parks in Florida, I just couldn't stop sweating. I bought one of those little snap rags. I had a chamois. I'm
Oh my
literally
goodness.
drenched from the time I walked out the building. Oh, it was interesting. I loved it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know if I could live there. I really don't know. I'd have to really seriously have something there that was worth living there. But between all the bugs and the weather, the
Oh
South is an
yeah.
interesting place to be. The people are super nice though, and I was pretty happy about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. The one thing I definitely noticed when I was out there, there is so much trees there
All right.
that I'm just like, I'm thinking of like in like here in SoCal, it's just like I mean, they're just like rows, buildings, no problem, you know where you're doing. But like there, it's just like I was like, dude, I might get lost on my way back home from like the
So
grocery
we
store.
turned into a forest.
Yeah, there's a freaking forest. They got like single lanes of just like that are weaving and turning with the terrain, and I'm just like, dude, how do you guys not get lost here? Oh, and then we had like there was like, dude, they had like thunderstorms and stuff like that. So like my uncle's like, oh yeah, we got a weather app on our phone because we got to get up to date. And I'm like, why do you guys pay attention to weather this much? And they're like, well, dude, like if there's a tornado or something, like we got to know. And I was like, oh yeah, we don't have to worry about that at
Man,
all.
that's a whole different world for us.
And then
That's
my
hurricanes.
I know. And then my cousin hit me with jab was like, they're like, he's like, yeah, but you guys got earthquakes. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I was just like, I looked at him like, so what? He goes, yeah, aren't those terrifying? I'm like, no, not. I mean, not really. I mean, unless you're like close to like the epicenter of an earthquake, like if you just feel the vibrations, it feels like a freaking like a semi or a train going past your house. Like it's not that big a deal unless you're like really close, then like possibly. But
I was a part of an ugly earthquake. So this 1989, A's played the Giants in the World Series, and they had something called the Loma Prieta earthquake, and it was on my birthday.
oh wow.
Earthquake was so bad they had to stop the World Series.
Wait. Did they do it? Didn't they do like a 30 for 30 on
I'm
on
sure
that
they did. I
or
mean,
something like that?
the craziest things ever in the Bay Area. But literally, we had the Bay Bridge collapsed, two sections of the Bay Bridge collapsed, a bunch of freeways collapsed. It was one of the worst ones. I think SoCal had the worst one, like a 7.4 at some point. But this at the time,
Yeah.
was one of the worst. But the fact of the matter that was literally during the World Series, A's playing the Giants. It's the Battle of the Bay. By the way, the A's did come out on top, just saying. But one of the craziest stories from my youth coming up was that whole situation. My mother was actually on the BART heading back from the city, from San Francisco. At the time, whatever that gift I wanted that year, I don't want to embarrass myself on what it was, but she went all the way out there to pick it up, and the earthquake hit when she was in the BART underneath the bay. So she says that this thing like whipped like a roller coaster for a good, I'm sure it was maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but she felt like an eternity. Once it stopped whipping, they had to leave and exit the actual BART, walk down this tunnel, and then come up the other side through one of these escape hatches. Craziest story I'd ever really been a part of. But man, California does have things that other people in other places will fear, but I think we just get used to it. You woken up in the middle of the night for a few earthquakes. It's like it's not too bad. A hurricane tornado just falls out of the sky and rips through the city. I would be afraid. I would be really afraid.
Yeah, I would be too.
I mean, I think Cali, we've got some good things, but yeah, earthquakes are interesting. But it's been one of the best stories I've ever had was that Bay Area World Series. It was awesome. But second was the worst one. I'll tell you later, and it involved your Dodgers.
Oh my gosh.
But there's a lot been going on since we've been off. Obviously, one Stanley Cup.
Oh yeah, I don't remember who won the Stanley Cup. Do you know? Will, do you know?
Yes, you do.
No, I don't remember. Did Florida take it home? Like I think it was that.
And you know what the funny part about it is I was actually in Florida during it, so I'm literally at a bar watching this go down. And the faces, and I'm cheering. I'm sorry. I wore my shirt and everything. I probably could have got jumped in the parking lot, but I had the best time cheering for my guys in Florida, watching them take it home. I mean, you gotta admit it's pretty cool. 4 years in the league, 5 years in the league, I think, max, to actually pick up a ship like that. I mean, it's pretty amazing.
I mean, wait 1 second, Will. Wait, who won?
What do you mean who won?
All right, Vegas. That's the first time you said Vegas. I didn't know who you're talking about. All right,
The Las Vegas Golden Knights, sir. Oh my goodness! I try to act like I've been a hockey fan this whole time, but I'm not. I was never, except for like the Mighty Ducks when I was a kid. I just didn't really have any connection to it whatsoever.
no, it's actually really cool that like what Las Vegas has been able to do. Because first of all, I mean, when they won the Stanley Cup, then all of a sudden like these random clips started coming out about the owner of just like, yep, within 6 years we'll get a Stanley Cup. And now we're just like everyone kind of was just like, oh, okay. Like, I mean, that's what owner's supposed to say or whatever. But then when it did happen, I was like, oh, that's pretty sick. And also like in their 6th year as like a team, that's pretty sick.
I was really surprised. I'm not gonna lie. The first year we actually made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. We lost. Great game. This Ovechkin just kicked our butts. I mean, he's a hockey god. You know what I mean? You expect a man like that to just go out there and do exactly what he did. So when we got there, I was like, dude, that might just be up for us. We got it the first year. We're lucky, but it seemed like we've always been vying for a title. And then every year, the homer, the player lover in me gets disappointed because they start exiting people I like. It's like, wait a minute.
Oh no, that's the one thing I found out when I started getting like heavily invested in my sports teams, and I started getting like maybe heavily invested in some of the players, and when they leave, like, oh, it like hurts at a different level I never thought I would experience as like a kid or a teenager. Because like, let's be real, like when you're as a kid or a teenager and you lock onto your sport, like it's like you're thinking of like the team, right? And then when you become an adult and you start like liking players for like their style, who they are, like just different components, and they're rocking for your team, right? And then they leave, you're just like, oh, dude, that hurts. It honestly kind of feels like a breakup, to be real.
It is
a little bit.
Still a little emotional about Carr leaving the Raiders. I mean, good, bad, or
I know, man.
That was my guy for 9 years, and all of a sudden, new regime comes in, and you know how it goes. They want their people. I don't know if Jimmy G was who they really thought they were going to get, but now I got Jimmy G. Good looking dude, but I'm locked in. Me and Carr, we've been through some things together.
That's true. But I guess it goes back to the point, like, I mean, these are professional, like, I mean, QBs, right? I mean, you have Jimmy G. Yeah, I guess he didn't do that well in San Francisco, but I go back to Russell Wilson from Seattle to Denver, and how Russell's a good player, but I'm just saying like the different, like how it switched. I mean, shoot, Jimmy G could be your guy. You just never know. And it's just like, that's how crazy sports is. It's like, you could be on a stellar team. It's the right mold. Like you got the right coach, right everything. And you're just doing what you need to do and you're killing it. And then you go to some place and you're just like, nope, you're like average Joe, just like what happened,
100%. I mean, and I honestly think Carr is a quality quarterback, and
100%.
They had last year. The Saints will probably do really, really well. But I mean, honestly, that's just the nature of pro sports, and honestly, it's the nature of college sports with the portal in place. Some of the that you lock onto and really think they're, you want to follow, and next thing you know, they're in a different place. I had a couple of my fan favorites move over this off season. Matter of fact, I think they got a D1 proposal right now that they're going to drop the actual window for the portal from 60 to 90 days. Obviously, I guess it's giving a little bit more advantage to the institutions, because at 60 days, you got a lot of movement. And if you're not treating players right, I mean, they will get up and leave. And with NIL, shoot, they may just be following where the NIL money is.
Yeah, with the NIL thing and the transfer portal, like it's definitely the one benefit I do see from it. At least I see it from from the football perspective, is that the normal like institutions that are just like, Clemson, Alabama, like those kind of schools that just like have always been having top tier football programs that have always been winning. With the NIL and the transfer portal, you might be able to see like other schools like being able to do some good heavy recruiting and getting some teams that are being able to compete, especially with the way, like, in honest opinion, I don't know if Nick Saban's doing a good enough job of just because he's he does not like the NIL deal, doesn't like the transfer, and I believe that might hurt him in the future when this, like my generation or some of the guys who are younger who are now have that opportunity, get paid, might be looking for somewhere else, and that might hurt Alabama football, which I don't know, but I believe it might.
It's a real possibility. I mean, I think in some ways, I feel like it levels the playing field a little bit.
It does. I think it does.
That's important. And I think it will force some of these institutions to really look at the players as not just an asset, but something that they want to keep. Because obviously, scholarships are one way to take care of things.
Right.
No deal is one to take care of things. But I'd love to see at some point a guaranteed deal for some of these players. If you come play for us, even if you get injured, hey, we're going to make sure your scholarship is honored throughout. I mean, if the money's coming in, I think they should be able to cover that. And I think that alone could really make a difference for an institution. Guarantee those kids ability to graduate. I think you get more players. I think you get a better player. And then obviously you're going to get some more graduates, which is supposed to be the reason why they're there, right?
Right. My only fear with like the NIL stuff is that, back in the day where some institutions would get caught for like boosters, like handing out like money or gifts to athletes. I have a feeling that like the NIL deal, like there might be some shady stuff happening with it, which NIL deal on the surface level is awesome. But once you open up a rule, there might be some back channels like people are not aware of until it happens, and people are like, oh, something might happen. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like once like the NCAA like start like figuring out the correct protocol and dealing with the NIL is where will get better. Because right now, like let's be honest, like I feel like it's the Wild West a little bit.
The Wild West. That's exactly what I was going to say. You're 100% right. They're going to do whatever they can do, short, of offering for, asking for forgiveness. But I think Texas started it. I think Texas ended up putting out something where I think every student athlete got a certain amount of money due to an outside booster, and they're figuring it out how this is going to work. But the regulations, I think, are probably, as always, going to follow slowly behind. I think Wild West time.
I mean, because you never know until something happens and it causes an uproar, and then they're like, all right, we got to kind of try and put a cap on that. But
you're right. You're 100%.
All right, Will. What else do we got going on? It's summertime. What other sports we got going on?
Dude, obviously the NBA draft just happened. Free agency is in full swing. Summer League actually starts in Vegas. Shameless plug. I love summertime in Vegas as far as basketball concerned, because everybody that's anybody, agents, recruiters, and then of course NBA players of all kinds are in town. They're playing in either summer league or private leagues. This is actually the place to be as far as basketball is concerned. So watching this all go down in the midst of this free agency frenzy. I mean, it's been pretty fun to watch what's going on. One of my guys got shipped to the East Coast. As a matter of fact, Mr. Poole is now a Washington Wizard, and apparently we got CP3, like we were talking about earlier. How what we used to consider to be a hated rival is all of a sudden part of the team.
That's funny. But I mean, I didn't even know that. I mean, it's the summer league going on right now. I'm gonna be honest, like as a sports fan, it's like I don't really care about the summer league to be real, but I get it why it's like it's in Las Vegas, a town that doesn't necessarily have a good. I mean, they do have a WNBA presence with the Aces, but in terms of like the NBA doesn't really go to Las Vegas. So I think like, yeah, I do understand that like it's the great time to be in Las Vegas with the summer league coming in town.
Well, they've definitely put their money in it.
Right.
Every few years, Vegas kind of reinvents itself, and now we're trying to be Win City. This is the place. This is the sports and entertainment destination. Obviously, we did big with the UFC and boxing for years and years and years, but with the Raiders and Allegiant Stadium, with T-Mobile and the Aces, and then what it looks like, from my understanding and all indications, it looks like the Oakland A's are going to end up being in Vegas as well. They've already plotted that land out. I think there's just a couple formalities, and then we'll end up with a a baseball team as well. So I think they're really finding the Southwest. When I say the Southwest, both Las Vegas and California, just a hotbed for sports. Obviously, you guys have gotten a bunch of new stadiums. It seems like in SoCal, and what they're doing in Vegas. I think we're the region for most sports in the United States. It's kind of awesome.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great time to see it. How do you feel actually? I know you're out in Las Vegas, but you're an Oakland A's fan. How do you feel about the A's leaving Oakland?
Honestly, the same way I felt about the Raiders. I always felt that that's where they belong.
And that they belong in
In
Las
Oakland.
Vegas. Oh, in Oakland. Oh, gotcha.
No, I'll be honest with you. I think they've
Yeah.
always belonged in Oakland. Oakland is a blue collar city. I grew up outside of Oakland. My mother worked in Oakland, and it was just a blue collar town. And everybody got behind those teams. We had some great runs. Obviously, the Raiders, most of their wins came in the early '80s and the '70s. But I had some wonderful games to watch the A's play. Again, like the Bay Area, we went back to back a couple times. I got my heart broken by the Dodgers and was his name Gibson hit that walk off on, I think it was Dennis Eckersley. It totally crushed my childhood. Looking for that three-peat.
I
But it was
know.
all part of the game. It was part of being a Bay Area teams fan. It's just like it's good or bad. You know what I mean? And we were the blue collar side. San Francisco had the money and the 49ers and all that good stuff. But Oakland was like the heart of the Bay Area. And unfortunately, they could never get it right as far as the money is concerned to really support the teams outside of what the fans would do directly. I promise you, Raiders Stadium, and by the way, if you guys don't know this, the A's and Raiders shared a stadium during the
Yeah.
league. During the season, you could see the baseball field when they played football, and honestly, it was trash.
Oh, let's be real. Whenever I saw that dirt poking in from the end zone and into the 10-yard line during like on NFL Sunday, I was just like, dude, that looks so weird. It
It's so
looks
weird, and it was just like you have the ability to do a lot. Why can't we figure that part out? Literally, they're playing on dirt, and this was all the way literally up until they left. So I think the Oakland Alameda um brain trust, I guess, of the city. I think Libby Shaft was the mayor at the time. They had an opportunity. They had an opportunity to keep them, and they just didn't. So, like I said, hey, if you can't be there and you need a home, luckily I live here, and I'll be happy to welcome you here. So, I'm not gonna lie. They've got a beautiful new stadium, and I promise you, if the A's come here, they're gonna pull out the red carpet. Right now, my understanding is they're going to probably demolish the Tropicana Hotel and put together one of the best looking stadiums that I've seen. At least the renderings look awesome. So it'll be interesting time for.
I mean, I believe so because you know what made the when you heard that the Raiders were going to Las Vegas, I haven't recently heard any kind of like pushback from it because of how nice Allegiant Stadium is, like how beautiful it is, and it kind of erased the move. It feels like because I haven't heard anything about it.
Surprisingly, I think you're right. So I mean, I thought it was going to be one of those things that we were just going to be hated. Like I promise you, when they left LA and moved back to Oakland when I was in high school, literally they called them Raider haters. Like literally, people that was their whole deal. It's just to hate the Raiders because they left. So I assumed that if they came here, it was going to be the same kind of thing. But I haven't heard that pushback. And honestly, I think everybody in the Bay kind of knew that was going to have to be the case. If you ever went to a game at Oakland Coliseum, I promise you, you'd have total understanding of why they needed to move. I mean,
Right.
my God. I mean, the bathrooms would back up. Put it like that. The bathrooms would back up almost every.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so just everything that you could think about goes into that. I remember one year, one of the teams, I think the plumbing backed up into the dugout, and literally all the things that go along with that happen. So it's like, hey, you don't take care of your team, they're gonna end up moving, But again, if we don't take care of them, people will move back. I mean, look at the Rams. You know what I mean? I mean, literally, they
Yeah.
made a home in St. Louis, didn't work out after all, and now they're back in LA doing their thing. Just like that. But with all that's going on, it leaves us a lot. I guess we got a special guest coming on too, don't we?
Yeah, I believe so. I think we got our own surf and women's basketball head coach Kyle Rouse going to be joining us in a second. Will.
That's awesome. I have so many questions for him. So many questions.
I can't wait.
Glad to see you there, by the way.
What's up?
I said I was glad to make it out there for the competition. I was glad to see you there. I needed my stat guru to tell me what exactly is going on. I'm telling you, I have some real simplistic questions I need to ask Mr. Rouse about how this exactly works, because I promise you, I was more confused after the competition than I was during, as far as the scoring was concerned.
I mean, it took me honestly about a season to kind of figure or understand the scoring aspect of like surf. And then also, like, let's be real, like the judges have their personal favorites, right? They got those surfers that are like, they enjoy watching, and so they might score their runs a little bit higher than what they would do for most people. But that's part of, it's part of judging, right? It's not a set structure. It's not a there's human beings behind the scoring, so you're going to get human resorts. It's kind of like with like boxing or MMA. Like, there's like those controversial like results, and that's because like when it's a split decision, like those are human beings just like with their own eyes interpreting the fight that just happened. So it's kind of the same way when it goes to surf. Like you have just people looking, judging each run, and in some cases, like, thankfully it didn't happen when they were out at nationals this couple weeks ago, but like some judges might actually miss a whole run.
That's crazy.
I don't know. It's kind of insane.
It's one thing two things I really noticed when I was there. One, I don't know if surf gets the credit for the athleticism it takes to actually perform that sport. I mean, literally, they are, I think for the time frame, I think they said it was 20 minutes or 25 minutes a run.
Will, when you came out, that was just for the finals. Like a normal heat run is 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's crazy, because I mean, literally, they make their full run, and obviously the run doesn't take too long, but then they've got to turn around, get off the board, and paddle back out to the break. I mean,
and that's why, like, when you're looking at the stats and you're just like following around with the scorekeeping, they might get like 4 or maybe 5 runs in that 15-minute time frame. And by the way, like maybe 2 of those runs are just an up and out of, like they get up and then they immediately bail because they just didn't like the wave that they were on. They were trying to look for a better one. But also, it's like you're out there, and honestly, it also has to deal with the weather. Like during nationals, one of the women's heats where I want to say like honestly 2 Westcliff surfers, there were no waves. Like for a solid, so it's a 15-minute run, there was like probably 10 minutes of like them just sitting on their boards with no scores because there were no waves to hit.
100%. That was literally my second point, is that you are a slave to whatever the weather is doing and the wave set that you can get. So like when I was watching it, and I think it was like the first run from the gentleman from Hawaii, and it was an excellent run, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if I seen any waves that looked that good for the rest of the time. And it was like just a timing thing, and it's like, dude, that's disappointing. If you don't pick the right run, if you pick a wrong run and you have to bail out early and paddle back, you got to be exhausted. There's a lot that goes on in the surf. It was pretty impressive to watch them get down, and then really pretty impressive just to see our team perform.
Yeah, it was. I was talking with Kyle while they were competing in nationals, just to put it in perspective. Like, Point Loma, who won, and Saddleback College came in second. We were third. All of those teams were well within reach. Like, we could have gotten first. A lot of things had to go in our favor. Like, people had to be like bottom of the scoring and stuff like that. But if we had, I mean, honestly, and this is where people, I think with the scoring, like you have people who compete in the short board competition, and then you have the long board, and then you have the women's short board. Like anyone who makes it into those like final rounds, like those points get added up for your team total. So like the more surfers you have in whatever category, like helps with overall points. And it was really cool because I saw the national tournament when we first entered and we got fifth, and how big of a deal it was then. This past season, we had more warrior surfers in the final round. We got third overall. We actually had a B team. So we had two teams competing for Westcliff at nationals. So we had more people coming in. We had a lot of dual athletes. Like I know we had two baseball players who were just invited out to come be on the surf team, and they did very well, especially in the case of I'm going to shout out Coach Kyle, because when you have in our location, right, it's prime for surf, because I mean nationals where they were held, it was in my own backyard.
Dana Point.
Dana Point. Well, I don't live in Dana Point. Let's just sorry. There you go. That's going back to like, hey, we have beef with like high school football. Like I lived in Aliso Viejo, and Aliso Miguel High School was my alma mater, but like I'm not part of Dana Point. Go Wolverines.
Oops.
I know, but I just have to shout out those individuals that, I mean, I know Keaton and Zane, who were on the baseball team. Yeah. They went and competed in nationals for the first time they ever competed for the team. And I just gotta say, like, I mean, they did very well. I mean, first of all, you're competing against surfers who that's what they've been doing from like probably middle school, high school, and they were just fresh off of a baseball season, and they were able to compete and have fun. They got some points, but it was really cool to see some dual athletes compete and surf.
Oh, it was pretty awesome. I mean, honestly, the guy that won the whole thing, literally, he's a transplant from Hawaii, and I think he probably been surfing since he was born. He was probably born in the water. I mean, I've got a bunch of family and friends from the islands, and literally it's a culture thing. I mean, this is just part of what they do. It's so to have dual sport athletes, literally just finish up the baseball season and come out that and still be able to perform well. I enjoyed it. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I was puzzled the whole time. Hopefully Coach Kyle can help relieve some of my ignorance. Likely, but we're gonna try to give him a shot at it.
Speaking of Kyle, hey, welcome to the podcast, Kyle. Hey, glad to have you.
No, good to see you guys. How's everybody doing?
How you been?
Doing well. We were just talking about surf earlier. We were trying to get rid of the those basic understanding of the sport, because we're not familiar with it, so we were just talking about it overall.
He was trying. I told him, look, I've seen Endless Summer. I've seen North Shore. That's it. That's all I got. That's all you had. I got nothing else as far as to pull from. One,
it is very different. Like, it's when we're used to, like, I mean, I don't know, at least scoring wise, the best I can, like, I guess compare would be like a track and field. I mean, because it's individual points that lead to a team points, so like points wise, that's the only thing I can compare it to. Other than that, it's pretty much its own sport, that's for sure.
Well, I tell you, I enjoyed it. I was glad to see you there. It was my first surfing event, and I really, I was just telling Chase, I was impressed with just the level of athleticism. I mean, to be able to do what they do, turn around, paddle back out in 15 minutes or less, or 20 minutes, as he said in the finals, was incredible. But I was terribly puzzled about how they scored this thing. And then, of course, too, to be a slave to the weather and the waves. I mean, you could be the best guy out there, but if the wave doesn't come, it doesn't matter. And that was just, I wouldn't say frustrating, but I can see it's like, that's the part that you really can't train for. You really can't do anything but be prepared and hope that thing doesn't happen. What did you think of the competition? How did you guys think you fared? And what do you think is your next move with surf coming next year?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was one of the better consistent contests as far as waves go. I mean, for the year, I think, the contest at Huntington, it's always pretty inconsistent. It's smaller in the summer. Here and there they get some big swell, but I think definitely Friday, that was probably the hard to say best because Santa Cruz was pretty solid, but I mean, probably the best waves we had on the season was that Friday, those Friday heats. So it was just nice. I mean, that's what we've talked about all year. I mean, that's what our surfers are always saying, like, just give us some waves. Like, we'd love to just have a contest where there's waves that we can, kind of like what you said, showcase our abilities. Obviously, yeah, some of the scores didn't go our way and stuff like that, but at least there were waves. There was a couple heats here and there that had some interesting lulls, but I mean, overall, the swell was definitely in the water, which couldn't really say that for the contest in Huntington, Seaside, some of those other contests we had on the year. So that was great. I think, it's cool to say third best team in the nation for NSSA surf college teams, but I think we as coaches and the surfers know that we kind of left it on the table a little bit. We were right there, right there. We had a couple surfers kind of bow out earlier than they normally do, which, as you guys kind of saw, that makes a huge difference. I mean, and it, even though we had 4 people essentially in the finals, which is unheard of, that's awesome.
Really?
Between the women and the men, just those, that's how important those things are, which is why earlier I said it's similar to track. Like, if you have a guy or girl that's supposed to finish top, in the 100-meter, let's say, but falls out in the trials, all those points are now non-existent. So, I think we definitely see where we got to be. We were so close to being, at the top, but it is cool to see, how well we've done in 2 years, though. I mean, really, in 2 years.
I was about to say, for 2 years in competition, and I'll be honest with you, being there, they kind of touted Point Loma as like the end all be all for the last 10 years or so.
Right.
They did deserve it. I mean, the only challenger they had was probably Saddleback, and that's because you got to do the comparison. Like, Saddleback is a junior college and Point Loma is a D1 institution, so that's like, if surfers are winning at Saddleback, they probably go to Point Loma. So there's that pipeline that was probably established for a while, and then Westcliff is the new kids on the block.
Yeah,
New kids on the block.
Agreed. And you do see that too, because Saddleback's been very good for a long time. Their coach has done a great job over there. Like, just, they're always consistent. I mean, they won nationals last year. That was the one year Point Loma didn't in the last few years, and Saddleback was the one that won it. So, I mean, they always do a good job. We were fortunate to get a couple from Saddleback. Lucas, our captain, is a Saddleback surfer. Bryce, who made it, gosh, I think he got all the way to quarters or semis in short this nationals trip. They were both from Saddleback as well. So trying to, fit into that, like you said, almost like it's a training ground, so to speak. Hey, they're doing great at Saddleback. You got to transfer somewhere if you want to finish your degree. So if we can,
a better place than Westcliff, I'm just saying.
Exactly. I mean,
it's
down the street.
I mean, really. I mean, one, thank you for having us out there. I mean, obviously, Chase gets a pass wherever he goes, Mr. Stat Guy. But,
hey, I'm welcome wherever I go. Don't get it twisted.
That's what I'm saying. I just ride your coattails, sir. I was happy to be out there, enjoyed it. I got to see Jordy, my guy. Shout out to Jordy. He finished well. It was just an amazing time. I am so excited to see what's going to happen next year, because, I mean, if this is any kind of indication of where you guys are headed, really the sky's the limit.
Yeah, and honestly, we right back at all of you guys. I mean, having people at the surf contest is such appreciated, because it's not, we're not in the gym, we're not at the Great Park, we're not, it's hard to sometimes get the following that a basketball team or a soccer team or a baseball team get. So having all you guys out there, I mean, the surfers noticed too. Like, even last year at nationals, our surfers were just kind of not blown away, but I mean, kind of blown away. Like, wow, look at everybody that came. I mean, because Sean was there last year too. Michael was down. Everybody was literally there. And it's like, they don't get that a lot of times. not because of what it is, just the sport. Like that's just not, it's not normal, so to speak, of having like collegiate surfing and like having the support system. So that was awesome having that. You guys got to see it in it.
The one thing that actually is the benefit of surf, especially for us, is that the competition is actually perfect. And what I mean by that is like I was able to go out to multiple events because we didn't have any other sports going on. For example, like I don't where was state?
State was in Huntington.
Was in Huntington, that's right. So it's in our backyard. I don't think I was there. I think I actually had one game, so that's my bad. But nationals, it's like all of our sports are pretty much done. There's no conflict. So it's like, you know what? These people have been grinding it out all season. They deserve our full and utmost attention for just basically just cheering them on and knowing that like, hey, all this like support that you might not think is there is definitely there. Like it's right in front of your face. And
and that's what different than any other sport, which is why I love like pro surfing and going to those contests too. Cause it's not, I mean, I say this all the time. I'm a, huge Kelly Slater fan. Always have been. Like you can literally I would compare like Kelly to like a LeBron, Michael Jordan, that kind of thing. Where can you go and literally sit front row to watch a Jordan type athlete, And surf is so cool in that regard. Like you guys, I mean, like you said, you're literally sitting there with everybody. Everybody's just on the beach having a good time. Like it's a very cool.
It's such a cool atmosphere because everyone's relaxed. Everyone pulls up like their lawn chair or whatever, and you're just basically watching surfers on the beach. It's honestly, it's like a vacation. Like it's just your day at the beach with the family. Yep. And lo and behold, there were families there watching the competition.
Absolutely. Yeah. People pull up and don't really know what's going on, but they stay and end up watching. I mean, because it's something cool to see.
Absolutely. Now, Kyle, I wanted to talk, we were talking before you came on, we were talking about the dual sport athletes. So those athletes that may have noticed Westcliff Surf maybe a little bit late, but I was just talking about Keaton and Zane, who they just competed for the first time ever, just like, oh, yep, I'll try it. And they did pretty well, like in terms of like probably not with a lot of preparation, but like they were able to score points, they were able to compete, and they did well. What are you now is that something you'll try and encourage other athletes and other sports to kind of like, hey, if you just want to come and just do some surf, like, hey, we're open?
I mean, yeah, it can never hurt, because again, having two teams like we have, again, in surf, it's very different competition. So like when you think about it, yeah, obviously our second team doesn't score points for the main team, but what they can do is knock people out from the other opponents that we're trying to beat, and that's kind of a unique thing about collegiate surfing is, yeah, you may have an A, B, C team in some cases. Just because they're not scored together doesn't mean they're not really helping each other out, because you really can't do that. So they were huge stepping up, and Keaton was fortunate. He didn't have a contest under his belt, but he practiced with us for over a month before nationals, which was great because he got to hang out with the group and kind of get the vibe of the group and understand kind of the surfers did a good job bringing him in and kind of just telling him, look, we won state, like we're trying to win this thing. So like he got a nice little at least breakdown of it. Zane, on the other hand, he came in literally 2 days, I think it was 2 days beforehand.
Oh my goodness.
It was like we had somebody, which you already know, we had a surfer that couldn't make it back from Europe, and kind of just last minute, not their fault, nobody's fault, just one of those circumstances. So it was perfect timing because he essentially took the spot that we were going to lose, so we were just going to be out points. So they came up huge, and shoot, if you can surf, we definitely don't discourage multi-sport. Somebody else can come out, because like you said, half the time there's no other sports, there's no other sports going on. So I mean, come out and do it with us.
If I had any talent whatsoever, that would be
coming out. Will, yeah, come on out.
Come on.
I mean, it's like, it feels like it's like living the life. I mean, going to school, you're in Southern California, and your sport is surf. Not that it's easy, but I mean, man, tranquil.
You're already, yeah, 100%. And you're already going to do it regardless. So you may as well do it as your collegiate sport because they're at the beach 24/7.
I know.
So.
I do have to do one shout out because I think one of the most heartwarming experiences at nationals was probably seeing one of our very own assistant coaches, Chelsea, being able to compete at nationals and record some points. I mean, she was able to step up. It was just cool because like even before we were talking, and she was just like, Chase, I just want to get on one run, one wave. And that's exactly what she got. And thankfully, Jaffe did a great job of capturing that moment. Because without the context, you would think of like, hey, did she just have a stellar run and just like won the whole thing just from her celebration? Right. But no, she was just happy that she committed to a goal and she hit it. It was so cool to witness that.
100%.
No, it was awesome. I mean, and again, another case where she just kind of stepped up because Ninon, who, is one of literally our best female surfers, got stuck with her visa and unfortunately couldn't come out for nationals. And Chelsea's like, I'll do it. I'm still technically a student, graduated, and NSSA, let that happen, which was awesome. So it was, like you said, the backstory makes it a lot different of a story, but it's still just a really cool moment for them for sure.
No, that's definitely what we're all about. We like to give some voice to those that don't and really be able to tell those stories. So thank you for bringing that to us because that's the nugget. That really is, that's what we're about. You know what I mean? As far as Wes is concerned.
Right.
See Chelsea out there it was definitely heartwarming. Good call, Chase.
My next question for you, Kyle, is we're talking about we're in that summer phase of where a lot of teams are doing some off-season training. They're preparing for next season. What are some of the preparation that Surf is going to be doing for next season? Because I think we talked about this earlier. There's not a lot of turnover, like there's not a lot of people graduating.
Right.
So what are those necessary steps of talking with the team? Because they just experienced nationals. What are the goals or kind of like the wisdom of just talking to those guys that are, or and the women as well, that are wanting to do a lot better than what they just did?
Yeah, it's interesting because right now is, everybody has their off season, and right now is definitely ours. So we always are very lenient with them in the summer. Like this is literally when they all travel. I mean, you name the country that has a decent break and they're probably there. I mean, I know, some Jack's definitely traveling. I know Jordy's traveling. A lot of people are going, Bali, all these different places, Puerto Rico, like a lot of different trips planned for them, which is good for them. And that's kind of why we're always very lenient with that. Like, even if they're in summer classes, we always say like, look, that's the beauty of having online classes as a part of this, this deal of being a student athlete. Like, yeah, if you can still handle the classes and travel after our season's over, do it. So that's like the first phase of that, letting them just kind of do what they need to do. Because again, like you mentioned earlier, our season is very unique in the sense that it just ended and we're, just had July 4th, it feels like we just had nationals. So them being able to kind of go do that is refreshing. I mean, I will say Silke, for example, she just traveled back and actually won an amateur contest a couple days ago. So like literally won the whole contest. So
that's cool.
Yeah, just kind of letting them do their thing. And a lot of the kids will surf in, if they're here and they're good enough, they'll surf in the QS, which is called the qualifying series, which is kind of like almost like the same as like AAA baseball, in baseball. So it's not the majors, but it's one step below. So some of those will surf in some of those contests. Jordy has already done that a few times, even this year. Like he's been in a couple of the QS events. But honestly, letting them do that. And then once we kind of get back, we're actually, we're waiting for our rings to come in from state and like finally close out the year. Like we already told them we're going to go do sushi or something like that. And we'll bring the rings and kind of do like not a banquet, but kind of, similar to that, to where we can acknowledge the successes and like let them just kind of have fun and really close out the season.
I can't wait to see the rings.
I can't either because
like anything the other ones I've seen.
No, it doesn't. They're literally, it's pretty awesome. They look good.
Oh, can't wait to see. You have to come by and show us when we get a second. We'd love to see that. I know. Well, speaking of dual athletes, and I know we don't have a lot of time because you're ripping and running, and part of that is because you're a dual sport coach. And the summertime, for all of us that do know, this is prime basketball recruiting season.
Yes.
If you got some time to talk to us about some basketball?
Of course, always.
Well,
How much time do you have though? Because usually I get going on basketball, and
we
it's
might have to do a part two. We might have to do a part two.
yeah.
But one, how was the year? I mean, I think it capped off just recently. I believe your girl Trinity signed a deal. Matter of fact, just tell us, what did you think of the season, the players, and then please let us know what's happening this offseason with Trent.
Yeah, no. So I mean, yeah, season was good, similar in the sense that we know we had more to leave there. Like, we knew we're a national tournament style team and we fell short of that by one game. So, always stuff to build. You guys already know in athletics, there's always things we can do better. The one thing that's been very exciting for us is just having everybody coming back. I mean, yeah, we do graduate Trent. But honestly, besides that, everybody's coming back. And we added 3 really, really good pieces. And, the summer has been great. I mean, yeah, like you said, recruiting is a huge part of it, but having a huge returning group, once those summer rules started where we can be on the court with them, it's been awesome. I mean, getting this head start with some of these returners and just seeing the chip on their shoulder is awesome. Like, we don't even really have to talk about much. Like, you can already see even in these summer workouts that they are just hungry to not be falling short by one game like they did last year. Like, they still have almost like a bad taste in their mouth. So excited to see what they do. But no, capping off the summer or whatever Trent's amazing couple years with us was awesome. I mean, it was very well warranted. Like, you guys already know what a crazy great player, and just more so just an insanely hard worker. I mean, we've said this before. I know I put this in the nominations when we nominate for athlete of the year stuff at Westcliff. I mean, she's the one that we practice at 7. She was there since 5, working out at J-Law. Sometimes she's working out with Joff. Sometimes she's working out with one of the trainers at J-Law, but she's that person that will practice an hour and a half before our practice and then practice our 2.5 hours with us. So to see her get that contract, and not only just the pro contract, but the team, I don't know if you guys saw that, the team that she's going to is defending champs. And they've won I think it's 14 titles already in that league. So it's not like she's going to the bottom of the barrel. Like, she's going out there to Albania and going to be literally on the top team that they have in that conference. So just excited for her. And I know her dad, I talked to them on the phone that day, obviously. And yeah, her dad's already planning all right, when can I go out there and, travel out there? So just excited for her. She'll leave in September to kind of catch up with the team and start practice. And she told me, I believe the games start in October for them. So just excited for her. I mean, it's just cool to see. And I put this on Twitter, and it's something that's important to note. Like, just because you're not D1, D2, NCAA, whatever, doesn't mean there's not a contract there for you. Right. You can be a very good NAI player and get the recognition you deserve and potentially play and get paid to play. So it's just all about how you handle your business, and she definitely handled her business.
No, Kyle, I got a question for you, because this is one area that I might not have the knowledge in. But is Trinity the first women's basketball player to get a pro contract?
That's what's crazy. We've had 4, Chase.
Who on earth are the other 3?
Yeah,
that's because I knew the question. I knew it wasn't just Trent, but I was having a hard time. I don't know who the other 3 are.
Yeah, so it was before your time, but 2 of them.
Oh, okay.
2 of them were literally from my first team when Mary played. We had Mosu, who was our 6'4" post.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, she went to play in Sweden. Tiffany got a contract for an Australian team. And then, of course, Laura, I mean, Lo.
Oh, yeah.
She played in Mexico. So, I mean, that's what I'm, and somebody, there's always haters, but that Twitter post did blow up. And of course, all of it was good except for one one commenter that said, oh gosh, what are the percentages then? And I'm like, well, I mean, if you look at us, we've been a team for 4 years, 5 with COVID, and we've already had 4 coming out of the NAI to go play and get paid. So, I mean, and that's just our program. That doesn't talk about masters who had, of course, Stephanie that went from NAI masters to Iowa State to now
Right.
WNBA. Like, it's not unheard of. And I think if people actually look at it, it's just another great avenue to make that jump. Again, if you're ready to work like Trinity.
I mean, seriously, sleeping on what you're able to do there. That is a badge of honor if I could ever hear one, because I mean, that's what we're in it for. Obviously, the biggest championship is graduation. I mean, that in our particular vein, that's what we're here for. But the next of it is to give them an opportunity, like you said, to showcase and to really live out their dreams. And that's for, averaging 1 a year. That's literally out there living a dream. And I'll be frank, I'm an Aces fan. It's hard as a female basketball player. They are not given their just props. They're just not. No. They're getting there though. And I think you're doing your part to help give that visual. And we love that. We love that.
No, like you said, it's getting there, making strides. And just the game itself is just so good, and that's why we just, with the WNBA, for example, just you've probably seen it. Just people are really trying to get with the WNBA to add more teams, because these women's players that get cut are phenomenal players. And it's too bad, because the game is so good now. Like, yeah, maybe in the past this amount of teams would work, but now the women's players and the women's basketball game itself is just so talented now that's just not sufficing. Like, and something needs to change, because these good players are getting not overlooked, like they're getting looked at, but there's just not enough, like you said, there's not enough teams, there's not enough quote money, obviously, but there's a lot of opportunity, and there's a lot of players that could take it if a lot of some people could maybe add to it a little bit. But
if you're out here listening, these ladies are out here putting in good work. It's excellent ball. Turn it on. Turn on the WNBA. Turn on the collegiate sports and watch these ladies really, I mean, show you how the game is played. I mean, some of these rotations are just amazing. And what they're able to do, people always used to say, well, they can't dunk. Trust me, they're dunking in the league. But honestly, they are some shot. I mean, man, the shots are just amazing. I mean, I've enjoyed one. I'm an Aces fan, so I'm a homer, and I've been lucky enough to be ushered in and enter a championship season. But it's amazing to see how well they work together and really to play ball the right way. I mean, there's all kinds of talented street ballers all over the place that never make it to the league. These folks know how to play the game. So congratulations for an excellent season. Congratulations on an excellent off season. Another player headed to the pros. And then I guess lastly, are you ready? Are you quite ready for next season? I know your returners are there. Got a few more recruits to get in before it's over. But we're really interested to see what you're ready to do this year.
Oh no, we're definitely ready. I mean, the plans are already set. Our schedule's been done for months. So like we're ready to go. Another tough schedule, as we always do. I don't like soft schedules. So we'll be playing, top teams in the country in the NAI. We'll get San Diego State. They owed us a game, so we'll play them. Play Biola again, just to try and keep our, strength of schedule up and keep us tested. But no, the girls are ready. A couple have already moved in to get here early so they could work the month of July with the returners. But it's going to be, on paper, and just the talent we have and the culture that's been built, not just by the coaching staff, but really with the core seniors, like the 3 captains we have, and then some of those other seniors that have really built a great culture for the women's basketball program is going to play a huge role, because they're already telling the new ones coming in, like, this is what the expectation is, and setting that tone right now in July is a head start we've never had, because we've never had this many returners. So just trying to take advantage of all that we get, and just honestly let some of these great student athletes that we have lead. It's a players program, like you guys. It's just as much yours as it is ours. So seeing them kind of take a hold of that already is going to pay dividends, in my opinion, once we get to November. So it'll be fun. Just got to stay healthy.
Always. Hey, that's the one thing, and honestly, you guys we've got an excellent sports medicine program that seemed to keep you guys pretty healthy all year.
Yeah, honestly, there was only a couple freak accidents, like none of it was really like just stuff that wasn't handled. It was more, with Lucy's finger, that was just never seen anything like that before. Like got hung up on somebody's jersey and off a rebound, and she was done for the season. And just some here and there with Eva's thing, when that obviously hurt a lot, but I mean that was just a freak thing. She came down on somebody's foot, couldn't control that at all. So hopefully we can just keep some of those freak things away from our program this time. And now the sports med and all the just pre stuff that we're going to do will just help our bodies be ready for hopefully a great season. So
well, we're proud of you guys as you guys continue to build an excellent program. We're excited to see what you guys are able to do. We thank you so much for your time. We want to have you back, especially after the ring ceremony, because I mean obviously we want you to come out and show it off. And I believe here sooner or later we might be going straight video, so we'll have to see your smiling face and show the people who's putting in that.
Always ready. But no, I love being with you guys, and it's never an issue. Love being on here. So just thanks for the invite. Got to talk both sports too, so there's nothing wrong with that at all. So great way to spend my Thursday afternoon.
Hey, well, thank you. We were happy to have you, and again, we're excited to see what you guys are going to do this year. Basketball and surf. We'll be around.
Let's get it. National titles for both. First coach in Westcliff history to have 2 national titles. Let's go.
Oh, you heard it.
Oh, shoot.
Let's go, coach. Let's go.
Let's do it. Appreciate you guys.
All right. You take care, Kyle.
Have a good weekend, you guys.
Wow. Did you hear that? He just he called his shot, sir. He called his shot. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
Difficult to do. Difficult what he's setting out to do, but man, you gotta love the confidence.
I mean, we were just talking about this earlier, but like with coaches, like if the goal is not to make the national tournament or win a national championship, like, yeah, I mean, if they fall short, they fall short. That's the name of the game with sports. But like, if you don't have that goal of the highest prize, then I don't know what kind of goal you were implementing in the first point, right? So if all of our coaches say like, oh, hey, we're in the business of trying to win a national championship, and everyone's rolling their eyes at us and what have you, it's like, well, why not? Like, why else would you be competing every season except for winning and competing against top level teams, right?
That's what we're in it for. I mean, honestly, it was an excellent year. This is kind of like, I guess, the last show of 23 season, but it was an excellent year. To come out on the other side of this 12 championships strong. Obviously they didn't get the whole way that they wanted to go as far as nationals concerned, but to see them compete well. I mean, obviously Saddleback is a great team, and Point Loma, obviously they've got a history, but to really push them and really prep themselves for next year. So as far as surf's concerned, I'm totally excited. And really basketball, they have their work cut out for them, but it sounds like they got the right attitude. They've got some great returners coming in, and it sounds like they've got a few more recruits coming in that's really going to round out their team. I can't wait to see what they're going to do.
Hey, I can't wait for any of our teams to see what they do. We're headed into year 3 in competition of competing for interconference in the NAI.
It's just amazing,
right?
I mean, it is amazing. I mean, shouts out to the Dean of Athletics, shouts out to the SID team that's out here covering on them. But really, for all the teams that are listening, you guys are just completely awesome. To do what you guys have been able to do just in a short time, man, it's impressive. I think people are listening, and we're watching.
And you know what? And for those fans tuning in and listening in, we definitely had another special guest coming with us next week. Will, do you have a guess of who that might be?
Who we got?
I believe we have one of our new coaches coming on to our staff who will be competing for Westcliff for the first time in the fall. None other than Coach Randy Dodge, with, of course, there's a relation with myself as the SID Chase Dodge, Yeah. So we'll listen to Randy talking about what kind of coach he is and his philosophy, and kind of
just a little bit about him and his legendary status of being in 20 plus years in the NEI as a soccer head coach.
This next one's going to be a learning time for me. So one, what we should do, Chase, first, we should make sure we touch base as far as World Cup is concerned.
Yes.
That way you can give some prep. One, you can help me understand. I'm learning it. I'm loving what I'm understanding about soccer, but you can help me get acclimated to the World Cup situation. And then literally we can roll right into Coach Dodge's.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, next week episode, you know what we got to talk about? We got to talk about the Nations League with the U.S. men's national team. We got to talk about the CONCACAF Gold Cup happening right now with the U.S. Playing in the quarters against Canada this Saturday. Okay. So we got a lot of stuff. And of course, we can't forget this little preview for the women's national team at the Women's World Cup, looking for, Will, I don't know, what do you think they're looking for, Will, in this next World Cup?
Oh, I have no idea.
They're looking for their third consecutive World Cup title.
Has that ever been done?
No, it has not.
So this is legit 3P.
This is legit. That's the goal, is what they were having to do, is a legit 3P. This in terms of like, it's just, and analysts have already predicted this might be the most watched Women's World Cup tournament in recent memory. Back when probably it was hosted in the US back in the 90s, but like this, they're looking for a 3P, the first team to ever do it in men's or women's World Cup history.
Wow.
So,
I'm already excited. I'm going to stick to you like glue, sir, because you are my stat guru. I'm really interested to see how this goes, and I'm excited to watch them get there.
But we'll talk more about that come next week. But just let you know, it's going to be a historic July for that women's national team.
I'm excited. Let's do this. Hey, thank you again, you guys. Appreciate you holding it down while I was gone. Glad to be over it. Glad you got to get a little bit of vacation.
I definitely enjoyed it.
You seem ready to go. Our off season is never an off season, so getting things ready for this new season. I know you got a lot on your plate, but hey, I'm excited for what these next months hold for us. And hey, this is a great show.
Oh, absolutely. Well,
as always, I'd like to thank my co-host, SID Chase Dodge. Appreciate your help, brother. And our great producer, Brandon Peterson. Thank you for all that you do. I'm Will Smith, your assistant AD, and this has been Building Greatness, the Warrior Way. Oh, and don't forget, please subscribe wherever you download your podcasts, and please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us get the word out about our Warriors. Until next time, Westcliff family, what's family? Forget about me. I love you. Peace.
I might have to prove something, big jumper worthy. They gon' have to retire my jersey early. Whole crew coming, had to work something, cause I had nothing in my pocket. Yeah, I did all that. Big plans, partners trying to make profits. Yeah, I did all that. Work, sweating, tears breaking, even no ends. Yeah, I did all that. Had to make it happen. Putting hours in my practice, I did all that. Yeah, I can't take